another important thing that doesn't happen in video games, movies, or TV this year, and this is the year that Harry Potter enters all of our lives and shows a bunch of young people and not so young people that reading is awesome.
Yes. You talked about growing up with Buffy, right? Harry Potter's the one that I kind of grew up alongside. Not in I wasn't 11 in 1997, but as the books came out, I started to be around the same age as all the characters, and that really, Harry Potter is like the best thing that ever happened, basically. One of my favorite things, it's kind of an Easter egg. Like I think a lot of people on the internet have pointed this out. But so the first book, Sorcerer's Stone / Philosopher's Stone, if you're in England, came out in 1997. And the snitch that Harry catches with his mouth in that book, he receives that way later. He opens it in the 7th book, and it says, "I open at the close." The last book, the 7th book in the Harry Potter series, takes place in 1997 to 1998. So the close of the story opens the year that the story was made in real life.
Oh, that's
it's
beautiful.
just so, I could not give her enough praise because she just so brilliantly weaves that story. There's foreshadowing in Sorcerer's Stone that comes up so much later. I mean, even the snitch, like Harry has to remember that he caught that with his mouth and not his hand, because he accidentally swallows the snitch, and snitches have like touch memory, so it'll open for you if you hold it the same way you did when you first caught it. So he has to remember that, and that was so, like, she had the foresight to bring that up in the very, very beginning. She had that whole story planned out, and it means so much to so many people.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and to so many people. What was amazing to me about that, being in, that was also, I was in college when that was just hitting, and it was the first time I can remember as like a pseudo adult, as a child, where a lot of people were talking about a book. Like a lot of people my age were like,
young adult fiction.
Yeah, like there's books you had to read because they were for school. This was the first book I remember like people around me being like, I can't wait for more of this.
I'm definitely a little ambivalent towards. On the one hand, I'm kind of like, hey, read whatever you want to read. It's your entertainment time. It's your free time. But on the other hand, I get a little bit strange that it kicked off this trend of grown-ups reading books that are for kids. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of great books that come out every year, but you know, whatever. Like, it's a great story. It's a great tale. And I put myself in that own bucket because I read them and loved them as an adult. So, I guess I should practice what I preach. I think I'm not going to be that person that's, books are so much better than the movies. And movies are great. But I do think there's a lot of detail in the books that's really interesting. And I understand and appreciate why it didn't make it into the movies. But I love all the subplots about Hermione, sort of the liberation of the house elves and all this stuff that never made it into the films. And I hope people that watch and like those movies do eventually someday go back and read the books and pick up on just all these little details. And it's always the stuff that's always lost in any movie. Anything that's not about your hero kind of tends to sort of fall to the wayside. But there's a lot of great world building there that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, what was amazing, because I saw so many people enthusiastic about it, and it was something that they were enthusiastic about, and it wasn't the things that I normally associated with being popular. At that point in my life, I associate popularity with like certain cool rock bands or like a sporting event. Like this is, in 1997, I don't have an idea that there's actually a large movement of people who care about anything even remotely, like kind of tangentially related to what I'm into. So to see so many people around my age excited and sharing that excitement with one another about something that was fantasy related was kind of the first time in my life where I started to get the inkling of an idea that loving video games was okay, and that was one of that's why Harry Potter has a lot of significance to me. We could certainly
Harry Potter. Sorry, this is the last point I want to make. Hey, you're exactly right that Harry Potter is like the genesis of it, and then as those books, like it wasn't massive from the start. It was like it built over time, and then the movies started coming out when the books were still coming out, and it was this confluence of like Harry Potter the books, Harry Potter the movies, and Lord of the Rings would drop 4 years later, and this crazy confluence of sort of nerdy love that we're still feeling to this day sort of started back then, even if we didn't know it yet.
Which is, of course, why we're here right now, right?
Right.
So,